Hi, everybody. This is Gino Vanelli. You're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the persons appearing on the program.
Today on Rainbow Country, my coverage of the 48th edition of the Toronto International Film Festival continues with the Brazilian queer family crime drama, Toll, plus award-winning comedian and actor Naomi Snieckus fills us in on Firecracker Department and CIUT at the TIFF launch for the Canadian slate of films at this year's festival. That and more in episode 369, so stay tuned for Gay Talk Radio right here on Rainbow Country.
Hi, this is Emily Saliers from Indigo Girls.
Hey everyone, this is Chris Harder, porn star, burlesque performer, and the creator of Porn to Be a Star. You're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
Well, hello, and welcome to a brand new journey through Rainbow Country. As I like to call it, a little gay radio show working to give voice to the LGBT community and beyond. And as always, I am your tour guide through Rainbow Country. I'm producer and host, Mark Tara. By the way, Rainbow Country originates from CIUT FM in Toronto, and now proudly in syndication on 12 outlets across Canada, from coast to coast to coast. The Yukon, British Columbia, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, the east coast of Canada and Newfoundland, Ontario, even down to Buffalo, New York, and online. Well, thanks to you tuning in, streaming, downloading, but ultimately listening. Together we continue to build Rainbow Country into a nationally syndicated gay radio show, a #1 LGBT podcast on Podomatic.com's gay and lesbian chart, as well as being recognized as Canada's #1 LGBT podcast on Feedspot.com. So today, my coverage of the 48th edition of the Toronto International Film Festival continues with multi-award-winning Brazilian filmmaker Carolina Markowitz. She joins me to talk about her 2023 film, Toll, a film that tells the story of a Brazilian mother who falls in with a gang of thieves in an attempt to keep her queer family afloat. We'll also find out about Firecracker Department, an international community of artistic women and gender non-binary individuals, empowering each other to take creative action through education and positive support. To talk all things Firecracker Department is the founder, award-winning Canadian actor and comedian Naomi Snieckus. So during the TIFF launch for the Canadian slate of films at this year's festival, I caught up with fellow CIUT programmers who are covering this year's festival, Daniel Garber and Jessica Bellamy. And together we talk about what we're excited for TIFF 2023. Plus an hour two, music from LGBT artists, independent artists, voices that we've come to know and love in classic disco, classic 80s, classic house, and on this episode I'm featuring some classic disco, some queer indie, and more. All that lies ahead as we start Journey 369 through Rainbow Country, and our first stop, the Rainbow Country Bookstore. And keeping with the theme of films, today, actor, erotic provocateur, and author David Pevsner reads from his memoir, Damn Shame, a story of desire, defiance, and show tunes. And by the way, Damn Shame is available wherever you get your favorite books, and on Amazon.ca, it has a rating of 4.5 out of 5 stars.
We had drinks in his room a few more times, and each time I loosened up enough, first to let him kiss me, I think I passed out for a second, then to make out, eventually with tongues, but he knew I wasn't ready to push things forward. Though I was insane with desire whenever our lips touched, I would resist his advances when it got too involved. What I put him through. Jesus. After a week after my first 7-7 encounter with Stan, after I got particularly plowed by the alcohol, not him, we took a walk into Shenley Park. It was a frozen evening, and we were both bundled up in winter coats, sweaters, shirts, hats, scarves, layer upon layer. It was too cold for anyone to be out, but we found a spot to sit away from the wind. And as we talked, we inched closer and closer until our bodies were hugging, entwined, a mass of woolly layers and horny boys. I felt his hand start to wander, and I sat, a bundle of tension, as he worked that hand in an almost comical journey through that mass, first unzipping my coat, just enough to get his hand on my thick cable knit sweater, which he lifted up so that he could get through to the button-down shirt, undoing 3 buttons to get through to the t-shirt underneath, which he gently tugged out of my pants, and the shock of his cold hand touching my naked flesh made me shake with a need I didn't even know I had. And I kept taking in little short bursts of air as if I was on a funhouse ride that I couldn't get off if I tried. None of my skin was exposed to the elements. I was still buried in warm layers against the cold dryness of the evening, and he just kept burrowing deeper and deeper and lower, and I thought I was going to die, just die, as he began finagling open my belt so that he could undo the clasp of my pants to get to the zipper, lowering it with care, pushing away the sides of the open fly, gently rubbing his palm up and down the bulge of my hanes until he pulled down the waistband and let his index finger barely graze the tip of my rock-hard cock. And the instant he made contact, boom, my body exploded from within, and I shot and shot and shot and shot and shot, and he held me close. And I whimpered and cried and felt his hand pull away, slowly retracting back through the maze so that he could wrap his arms around me and just let me be in the ecstasy, emotion of the moment. When the storm passed, we barely said a word as I hitched up my pants and got myself presentable. And he took my hand, and we walked back to our respective dorms in total silence. When I got back to my room, I looked for any signs that it had happened, but I could find no dried jizz, nothing from what felt like gallons of cum shooting out of me on any of the layers of clothing. It was the immaculate ejaculation. In 1984, when Vanessa Williams' Penthouse photos were published and she got stripped of the Miss America crown, I was all up in arms, furious. I heard she was giving a press conference at the Sheraton Center Hotel in Midtown Manhattan, and I had to be there. I don't remember her denying, decrying, or apologizing for the posing she had done. The photos were pretty explicit. She wasn't having intercourse, but she was naked with another woman and, horrors, giving and receiving tongue in places society frowned upon with someone of the same sex. In making sure my memory served me correctly, I Googled the whole situation, and it turns out she was quoted as saying she regretted doing it, that young people do stupid things. However, she also said she had not committed an act of, quote, moral turpitude. So at least she didn't back away and say it was disgusting and awful, and she did not apologize. She said if the pageant wanted to take away her crown, which they did, so be it. She focused more on the legality of posting photos when she was promised they would never get out. She handled it well, and I believe the fact that she addressed everything head on without apology is why she continues to have a successful career, and this did not ruin her. Today, it seems that whenever a celebrity has nude pics leaked on the internet, it's a huge deal, gigantic, an incredible violation of privacy, a travesty, a crime, an emotional nightmare. I contend that, though it may be exciting for the viewer to see a celebrity in the all-together or copulating, maybe for the subject of the photos, it ain't such a big deal. Once it's out there, why are they so concerned that America, the world, is watching them naked, hard, having sex, whatever. My take is the Vanessa Williams rule. Own it. Don't apologize. Do not say the words, I'm sorry. Say, yep, that's me. I look pretty good, don't I? And if you own it, I believe they cannot come for you. My friend Steve, who worked in high-profile public relations for years, says the cardinal rule in his business is always take control of your own story. Prime advice. It's when you cower and apologize and put yourself on their level of screwed-up morality that you get in trouble. And as I earlier noted, that screwed-up morality was coming at us fast and furious, and I was done with it. I was hitting bars, bathhouses, and sex clubs, and even with the beard I was wearing, I was getting to fuck around with the kind of guys I so desired when I was skinny and no one paid attention to me. That book of lust was getting a real workout. Name after name entered and recorded for history in that book. Robbie, Lance, Jamal, and Vince. Boy, was he high maintenance. William, Jerry, Sam, and Mick. Rocky, Douglas, Dick. Oh, Dick. He wasn't Richard. He was Dick. That thing was big and really thick. He schlepped out what he had in store. It hung 6 inches from the floor. Erect? Think of a baseball bat. And then imagine 3 times that. We spent our nights together trying hard to make it fit. After our 3rd date, I couldn't walk, I couldn't sit. And then misfortune ran amok, a horrifying moment, a catastrophe. The final straw, he thrust and oops, he broke my jaw. Larry, Barry, Gary, Dave, all his pubic hair he'd shave. Isai, Juan, and 2 Jose's. That was in my Latin phase. Jordan, Colin, Dirk, and Hunts. Sue, I had to try it once. Famous movie heartthrob. Who? Sorry, but I can't tell you. But the year he won his Golden Globe, I met him backstage in his robe. He shook my hand without disguise. The terry cloth began to rise. He licked his lips. The next thing, boom, I'm on the couch in his dressing room. He became my bottom boy, and I was his top gun. It was risky, just impossible, but really lots of fun. I signed a contract to agree to confidentiality. I say his name, I go to jail, but I swear it's not an old cocktail. From the Book of Lust. Relax, those last 2 stanzas are a fantasy. Don't go sicken the lawyers on me.
Hi, I'm Saida Garrett, co-writer of Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror, and you're listening to Rainbow Country with Mr. Mark Tara.
Up next, we find out about the new Brazilian queer family drama, Toll. Carolina Markowitz. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, Mark, and you?
I am well. Let's just jump right in. Toll. Talk to me about this powerful new movie of yours, and what's the story that you're telling in Toll?
Well, it's a story about a mother. She works and lives in Cubatão, which is a city that is between São Paulo, the big city, and the beach side here in Brazil. And she has a huge problem in her life that she has a son that she doesn't like the way he is. She thinks he's gay and she doesn't accept this, so she will kind of join some illegal stuff to be able to pay for a very expensive conversion treatment that she wants to send him to. It's a dark, humored drama telling about this inversion of values that we are living in nowadays here in Brazil and in many places in the world, I believe.
So I've seen this film. Well done. A movie about family, about crime, maybe even a crime family, gay conversion therapy, not to mention the humor. You direct, you produce, you wrote this film. Talk to me about this story. How did this story come to you? Talk to me about that.
Well, I have always been so intrigued by how people are so concerned with other sexuality. I mean, with all the problems in the world and in their lives, and there are still people who are, taking care of other people's sexual life. It's incredible. Of course, we know the root of it religiously and everything, but it's something that really makes me, drives me crazy. And also, I think there's like this conservative wave here in Brazil that is quite strong, that it makes it so violent, at times so tragically funny, even because, for instance, we have like this very religious senator here in Brazil, one of the most voted ones, that states publicly that, women, that kids cannot play with Frozen, with Elsa from Frozen, because she's a lesbian. And people who, this other deputy that says that the anus is it's an unholy evil hole. It's such crazy things that they say here as if it was true, and they say seriously, that it's almost like you almost faint, because it's so pathetic. And at the same time, it gets funny because it's so pathetic, but it's tragic because people believing, like this senator that I said is one of the most voted, So my idea was to portray this absurdity, and how did we end up like this? Why do people believe in those people? And why are we in 2023 still wondering if someone, likes to have sex with this person or that person? This was very important for me to talk about.
The title, Toll, a perfect title for this film, I think. The mother works as a toll collector, the toll of on a family when it comes to family issues. Talk to me about how you settled on this particular title for this particular movie.
I think it's funny because things sometimes in cinema, I believe that things are like they happen by some kind of energy, and I'm not a very esoteric and person, and I'm very ascetic. But the film has always been called Tall. When I started writing it, I put Tall already, and I didn't realize by that time that it has all these sides, that it could
all these layers to it.
Exactly. And when the film was being developed, I was thinking about these layers and how much it meant a lot of things that were being shown in the film, besides the toll itself, of course. All the situation, how it was like analog to toll. So it was something that it took some time for me to realize that, but the film was always called Toll.
So at this year's TIFF Film Festival, you are receiving the Emerging Talent Award. Congrats on that. What went through your mind when you got word that you'd be receiving the Emerging Talent Award? What went through your mind?
Well, I was so shocked. I was so surprised. I took some time to believe, because I didn't expect that. I received the email from Cameron Bailey, and I was, my God, what's going on? And I was so happy and so thrilled. And my producer was by my side because we were doing a DCP test, like the film test. And I showed her, like, please read this with me and tell me if you are understanding the same that I am. It was something like that, and then I was so happy and so honored, and I couldn't thank them enough. And TIFF has always supported my voice as a filmmaker, and it gave me a lot of strength and encouragement to keep going on and doing the risky projects and everything. So, but at first when I received the news, I was so surprised and incredibly proud and happy.
Well said. You are a multi-award-winning filmmaker. Your last film, 2022's Charcoal, was also at TIFF. Both your films, Toll and Charcoal, both have queer characters, tell LGBT stories. As a filmmaker, why is it important for you to have queer content in your films? Talk to me about that.
Well, I am a queer person, so this is very important for me because of myself, because of my community, because I think what we need to go through nowadays to keep living. And I want to encourage other, queer artists to do their work and to have more queer characters as well. And I think I always put, my queer characters in that place where to question a bit, this inversion of values that you have nowadays, that you can, especially in a conservative environment like Brazil, like you can do anything, but you cannot be gay. It's a shame that if you are gay, I think this concept is in both films completely differently. In Charcoal, we have this husband that for him is okay to kill someone, but to hide someone in his house, to have a drug dealer beside his kid. But what no one can know is that he has a gay relationship. And here the same. I mean, the mother, everything is, she would do anything not to have a gay son because it's wrong. Why it's wrong, she doesn't even know, but she doesn't want to. So for me, it's very important to make people question that, why do society produce people that, are products of these ideas,
So I'm taking it that the film is currently doing the film festival circuit scene right now. But when will general audiences be able to see Toll? Do you have any idea in regards to that? Because it's such a good movie.
Thank you so much. Here in Brazil, it will be in October, probably. And now it's going to play, it's in, we are lucky enough to have it in a lot of festival invitations that I cannot tell them yet because they didn't announce. But what I can tell is that after TIFF, we're going to San Sebastian to the European premiere. And then I don't know when the film will be distributed in Canada and the US, but I hope soon. But in Brazil, it will premiere in October. And as I said, we have a lot of festivals already confirmed worldwide. So I think it's going to be very interesting to show the film abroad.
Here's my last question for you, Carolina. What do you hope audiences come away with from Toll after seeing this movie? What do you hope audiences come away with after seeing Toll?
Well, I hope they, understand that it's very important to support the loved ones and to understand who they are and to accept who they are. And this way, they are strong enough to live anything, to cope with anything in life. It's not that the world outside that is difficult. Difficult is not to have the support of the ones that are closer to you.
Well said, well said. Carolina Markowitz, thank you so much for your time. Well said, well done, well filmed. I loved your film.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy and so proud to hear it.
To find out when Toll is playing during the festival, simply visit tiff.net.
Hi, this is Amanda Marshall, and you're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
Up next, we find out about Firecracker Department. Naomi Snikas, hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Mark. Nice to have time with you.
Let's start here. Am I saying your name correctly? Naomi Snikas?
Yeah, it's Naomi Snikas. You think sneaky? You think sneakers? Yeah.
Got it. I have to say thank you for being here, especially to talk about the 5th annual Firecracker Department TIFF Brunch. You are the founder of the Firecracker Department. Talk to me about Firecracker. What is this all about?
Yeah, so Firecracker Department, it started as a podcast about 5 years ago. Mostly it started because it's funny to think about this, but there was, even 5 years ago, not enough platforms for women's voices and stories. So we started that. We also include non-binary folks in all of our events and all of our discussions. So that was really important too, hence the non-gender firecracker. That was really important. And then as soon as I guess it was about a year, maybe 2 years into the podcast, we started building it into a community. I had a bunch of friends that were like, hey, if you need any help with anything, and I was like, I sure do. I need help with a bunch of things. And so we built it into a community. So now it's not only the podcast, but it's events and workshops and mentorship programs. And it's run by myself and 4 other killer, amazing firecrackers. And it's tons of fun.
So you are an award-winning comedian, a funny person.
Can't you tell? Can't you tell? Oh gosh, I hope that's clear.
In the Canadian entertainment industry, but you said you started this as a podcast 5 years ago. Why did you start it? Did something happen? Was there a flashpoint that made you say, something needs to be done. I'm going to do it. And it's going to take this form, start off as a podcast. Was there a flashpoint for Firecracker starting off?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, one thing that happened was, like, in my career, I spin a lot of plates. I produce, I write, I direct, and I'm an actor, I'm a comedian. And I was hungry for something that I could do on my own, that I didn't have to get permission for. If anybody is ever bored or looking for something to fill their time, just start a company, start a podcast. You'll never not have something to do. But I needed something to, like, fill my creative cup. So the podcast really served that. And I also was, I loved having these talks with folks that I would meet at events and things like that. Like I remember us meeting Danny Kind at an event, and I was like, she's fantastic. She's just like an extraordinary human being. But we got like a snippet of discussion. And so it wasn't enough. And I thought, if I have a podcast, I can have an excuse to get to know people more. And Danny Kind's like one of my dearest friends now. So we developed a friendship even just from this. So that it started like that. And then, I don't know if you remember this, a little while ago, a guy named Donald Trump was elected in America, in the Americans. And I was really angry. I was angry that the glass ceiling was lower than we thought. I was angry at the way he was treating women and people from the queer community. I didn't like any of that. And I started getting, like, kind of ragey on social media and, like, tweeting things and, like, just it wasn't the right way. It wasn't the right approach for me to deal with it. And I thought I better just focus all my attention, all my energy on building this podcast so it could get louder and bolder and then outshine all the nonsense that he was creating in the world. So that was kind of the tipping point. Also, the Dr. Ford trials were happening. I don't know if you remember those, but Dr. Ford came forward with some information and allegations of being sexually harassed by some folks that just treated her really badly, and it was so belittled by Trump that I, again, was kind of ragey.
So Firecracker.
So instead of getting ragey, you get action.
You get vocal.
Yeah, you take action, right?
Yeah.
So, as opposed to, rage doesn't work in my system.
I hear you. So Firecracker Department has become a community of like-minded women and gender non-binary artists. What type of artists are part of this community? Talk to me about that. Well,
I mean, it's an interesting thing. We kind of focus on film and TV folks, but we definitely have had, like, adjacent artists because we have, like, an art auction now. So it's visual arts. And one of our favorite things to do in the Firecracker world is, like, shine a light on somebody that already maybe has a light on them, but the reflection of that light onto somebody else that maybe doesn't have the depth of credits and experience or global knowledge, so then they get brought up as well. So artists, I think, it goes across the board. Like, my father was an organic chemistry professor and scientist, and he believed he was making art in the lab. So I think art goes everywhere. We just tend to focus on film and TV.
So 2023 marks the 5th annual Firecracker Department TIFF brunch. Talk to me about this brunch, and is there a connection between TIFF and Firecracker Department?
No, we are not an official party at TIFF, but we just happen to have it during TIFF. And I think it's sort of a way of celebrating. There's such, everybody works so hard. Artists are hardworking people, and nobody creates something without a lot of blood, sweat, and tears coming into it. So we take the opportunity of having a brunch. So it's not in the evening. We have like coffees and mimosas and beer mimosas from Creemore, and then we have a way to celebrate the artists in our community, which I think is super important. But it's also a chance just to connect. Like, I don't know, sometimes the parties that I've been to, they feel like they're so big, or they're so like, I don't know, there's so many distractions. So this is a real chance for you to take your high heels off or your uncomfortable shoes and put on some comfortable shoes and get to chatting about art.
The name, Firecracker Department, what's the origins of this name?
Okay, first of all, Mark, your voice is beautiful. Every time you speak, I'm like, I need to talk less and just listen to you. It's gorgeous. Yes, you're doing exactly right. You should be doing radio, and you are. So Firecracker Department, typically, you come up with a list of 100 names of what you want to do and how you want to represent what you want to do. And then you ask too many people, and too many people give you their opinion, and they're all 100 different opinions for 100 different names. So I'd gotten all the opinions, I'd gotten all the names, and I went to sleep, and I knew I had a deadline to make. It was December, end of December. And I went to sleep. My friend was visiting us in Los Angeles, and we were all just pooped, and we didn't even stay up for the New Year's Eve, ringing up the New Year's Eve. We're all like 11 o'clock. We're like, that's it. We don't need to stay up. We're grown-ups. We can do whatever we want. We were all going to sleep. And at midnight, fireworks came up. And as soon as the fireworks woke me up, I was like, oh, it's going to be called the Firecracker Department. So I like the lack of gender specificity, or I almost got it out of there. I like that quality of the name, but I also like the playfulness of like having a department. So it's like organized chaos.
So Naomi, you are a multi-award winning comedian. You've won the Canadian Comedy Award for Best Female Improviser. When did you know that you were funny? When did this start coalescing in your mind, so to speak, that, hey, I'm funny?
I'm assuming, Mark, you're muting every time because I'm making some great jokes during this interview. I feel like you're muting every time to stop yourself from laughing on microphone, but that's cool. It's cool. I think.
Were you a funny kid? Were you funny in school?
I don't know if I was a funny kid. I think I was a weird kid. I think I was an awkward kid that maybe got through things with comedy. So when you say like, when did you know you were funny? Gosh, there's a story in the Sneakus family of when my father used to record dinner conversations. So he'd hide the tape recorder with like it's actually a tape recorder, and he would hide it under the table, and you would record all the conversations that were happening at the dining room table. And you'd hear my brother looking for a screwdriver because he was interested in fixing the television. And we were like, I was like 7. My brother was maybe 9. And then you hear in the background, look this way, folks. Look this way, folks. And my mother saying, Naomi, get that plastic bag off your head. So I was so desperate for attention, I was willing to suffocate myself for it.
Oh my God.
But I think that like attention seeking, my family was they're all very intelligent university people. I went to university, but I'm definitely not in that same level of intellect. So I had to do something to get attention. So it had to be funny.
And this podcast, this Firecracker Department podcast, how can people find this?
This is going to shock you, Mark. It's going to shock you that it's firecrackerdepartment.com. I know. I can hear the sound of you falling off your chair. Firecrackerdepartment.com is for all your firecracker needs, but then everywhere you listen to your podcast, whether it's Spotify or Apple, it's Firecracker Department. And then we had a mini series that we did called the Blaze Sessions, which is still Firecracker Department, but it was co-hosted by me and Amanda Brugel from Handmaid's Tale, one of my friends, and she's incredible. So we had some great interviews with her.
Well done. Well done.
Yeah.
Naomi Snieckus, thank you so much for your time. Well said. Well done. Well organized. Congrats on everything that you're doing. You too.
It's a lot. You're doing great. Look at all the things everybody's doing. It's great. You're having interviews and, good people around good people.
If you would like to find out more about this organization, the podcast, well, like Naomi Snieckus just said, simply visit firecrackerdepartment.com.
Hi, my name is Joanne Vanicola, and I'm an actor and a writer, and I was first on Rainbow Country with Mark Tara on discussing the massacre at Pulse Club in Orlando. I realized how important it was for our community to have a radio station, specifically for our issues, to talk about people in the LGBTQ community and to provide an outlet for our stories, to discuss our politics, culture, and give voice to the issues that matter to us, and of course our artists and the things that we do globally, and talk about culture. And without people like Mark Tara providing a space for this with a radio show like this, then we wouldn't have that voice. So support, tune in. Thank you.
I'm Sky Gilbert, and you're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
So during the TIFF launch for the Canadian slate of films at this year's festival, I caught up with fellow CIUT programmers, Daniel Garber from Cultural Mining, heard on CIUT Critics Circle, Saturdays, 9 a.m., and Jessica Bellamy from The Bill King Show, heard Saturdays, 1 p.m. Together we share our thoughts on what we're excited for at this year's festival. So we're here. We're at the TIFF launch for the Canadian films that are part of TIFF 2023. The Canadian films that are part of this year's festival. First, what are your thoughts in general about the 2023 Toronto International Film Festival? Daniel Garber, what are your thoughts in general with everything that you may be looking forward to? Maybe you're interested to see how the writers and actors strike will impact the festival. What are your thoughts in general about this year's festival?
Well, I'm looking forward to it like I always am. I've done this for 15, or if you count before I was at CIUT, about 30 years now. So I'm very much looking forward to it. But this will be unique in that both the SAG-AFTRA, that's the Actors Guild in the U.S., and union, and the Writers Guild are simultaneously on strike, and the festival depends so much on the draw power of celebrities. So this year will be different in that directors will be put front and center, and that's from the US. It'll also give a chance for Canadians who aren't SAG-AFTRA, that's ACTRA, and Writers Guild is different in Canada as well. So maybe Canadian writers and actors, and those from Europe and Asia and other countries, Australia, maybe they will be in the forefront this year, which could be interesting. The other thing is, I think one phenomenon is a certain number of star power actors have directed films this year, so it'll be interesting to see whether they will be able to appear as directors. I'm thinking Bradley Cooper, I'm thinking Michael Keaton. There's about 5 of them, big like A-list Hollywood actors who may be able to squeeze through as directors. We'll soon find out.
Jessica Bellamy, this is your first year at TIFF. What are your thoughts in general?
Well, yeah, like you said, it's my first year. It's a very interesting year considering, as Daniel mentioned, the strike. So it's all about, at least for me, it's all about just navigating the films.
So we're here. We just heard the Canadian launch of films that will be part of the TIFF 2023. Anything that caught your curiosity that you might want to check out at this year's festival as part of the Canadian lineup?
Yes. There are several. I took some detailed notes. There are Hey Victor, the humanist vampire seeking a consensual suicidal individual. Is that the new
something like that?
Something like that. Boil Alert. Queen of My Dreams. You mentioned a really good one was Red Lights.
A short called Red Lights, yes.
Yes. Making Babies is another one. That's another short. So a long list of some phenomenal Canadian films coming up.
So Daniel, did anything catch your attention when it comes to the Canadian launch for the films that are part of this year's festival? Anything catch your eye?
A number. There's a very interesting one. Adam Agoyan. He's been not just doing movies, but he's been producing or directing operas. Apparently he has made a film related to an opera, and I'm intrigued to find out what that's going to be.
How many years have you covered TIFF, Daniel?
I've covered TIFF for at least 30 years, but as an official critic covering it with a platform, 14 years at CIUT. Before that, it was more of a select internal mailing.
So, my final question for you. What advice would you give to potential film lovers and film goers attending the 48th edition of the Toronto International Film Festival? What advice would you give Daniel Garber?
I would come with an open mind and not just for the stars, because
they may not be here.
Yeah, well, they're not going to be. No, I mean, they might pull a quick one. Like last year, I think they had people like Oprah and Clinton and maybe, what's his name, Harry Styles, things like that. With people who aren't really in any movies necessarily, although he was in a movie, but they're bringing in people who are known for other reasons. But
producers, that sort of thing.
What's that?
Producers, that sort of thing.
Yeah. But what I'm interested in, if you like movies, TIFF is the one place you can be the first one to see a movie that, if it's released at all, probably won't be seen for a year or 2 or 6 months or anything like that. And if you put aside for a second the gala movies and the Hollywood premieres, which I think will be at a minimal amount this year because the stars aren't here, it's a chance to see amazing movies from Romania, from West Africa, Senegal, from Korea, Thailand, movies that never regularly play in Canada at all. So it's so well curated, you can almost pick any film and you'll see something good. But here's a helpful hint on how to choose the best one. Don't look at a movie where the people are standing on a beach or a green field or a wheat field staring off into the distance. That might be boring. Choose one where people are looking straight at the camera in the still photo, maybe with a bit of anger or lust or excitement in their eyes. Maybe that'll be a bit more interesting. This is my personal opinion.
So, Jessica Bellamy, my last question for you. This is your first year at TIFF. What are you looking forward to at this year's festival?
For me, when I go see a film, I love the conversation that precedes it. So I'm really looking forward to having and interviewing the festival goers after the film over a cup of coffee, over a drink, and just talking and sharing what we've learned, what we've experienced, all those thoughts and feelings and all the emotions that come with watching film. So that's what I'm really looking forward to as well.
Well, Daniel Garber, Jessica Bellamy, thank you so much for your time. Well said, well done, and here's to TIFF 2023.
Yeah, thanks, Mark.
And CIUT coverage.
CIUT 89.5 FM.
My name is Charles Officer, and I'm the writer and director of Invisible Essence, The Little Prince. You're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.
So the first weekend of the Toronto International Film Festival is what's known as Festival Street, where a few blocks of Toronto's downtown core is closed off for red carpets, live music, and of course food. Not to mention film goers and film lovers attending the festival. Here is a flashback to Festival Street 2022.
How are you? Good evening and welcome. It's the opening night.
Tonight, we thank you. I am so humbled and so grateful to be here this evening.
I'm extremely excited to be here. Thank you all for holy shit, there's a lot of y'all.
I'm very proud to be here tonight, and I'm so grateful that you joined us.
Don't stop till you get enough.
Hello, Toronto! Happy Halloween, Michael.
Can you touch that, sis? Toronto, the best of them all.
If you ever think about the best place to watch films, it's TIFF.
I want to thank Toronto because you have always honored, celebrated, exalted female directors.
The warmth and the love that you gave me is something I will never forget in my life.
So exciting to be here at Toronto in this gorgeous theater.
This feels like Christmas Day.
Thanks to you for coming.
This is truly a very special evening for me.
This is why we do what we do, you know.
I love this festival and it's an honor to be back.
Behind me is what we call society, what we see in there every day, and what we have on the screen. Let's keep on doing movies about us. We're making pictures about what's happening today in society. Thank you for coming.
Hi, what's your name?
Martine Tapascio.
And, okay, first of all, are you from Toronto?
No, I'm from Barrie.
Barrie, Ontario. You're here for TIFF?
Yes.
Have you seen any films?
Any of the films here today? No, not yet.
What are you hoping to see today on King Street?
I'm hoping to see, I guess, the actors around here, like especially for The Glass Onion.
Okay, maybe like what? Daniel Craig, I think, is in it.
Yeah, Daniel Craig, Janelle Monáe, anyone else who's here too. But I love those two the most today. So yeah.
Well said. Last question for you. For yourself, what does TIFF mean to you?
A festival where movies from, I guess, all around the world get to be shown to the people of Toronto before anybody else.
Well said. Well said. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, no problem. Thank you for the interview.
Hello, what's your name?
Jason.
Jason, where are you from?
I'm from Scarborough.
From Scarborough. And so what brings you to downtown Toronto today?
Oh, we always follow TIFF, especially when my wife influences me to go there for TIFF, right? So, and I love taking pictures and videos, so I'm here right now.
Okay, and who are you hoping to see today?
Oh, I'm hoping to see Janelle Monáe and Edward Norton and reunite again with Daniel Craig because last 2019 I saw him here also at TIFF.
In 2019, how long have you been coming to TIFF?
Oh, start 2011. Yes.
This is my 5th year. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, for us, and then 2019 has a big hype of the TIFF, and then you're planning ahead of next year, and then suddenly pandemic happened, right? So it's okay. Now we are happy we're back. So
we're back in person in 2022. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hello, what's your name?
My name is Jing.
Hello, and what brings you to King Street on a beautiful sunny day like today?
Well, I'm here to finally get to see the cast of Knives Out, or aka Knives Out sequel, because last time I was here, I had to choose between them and Tom Hanks, so that's why I'm making up for it. That's why I'm here.
Okay, so are you hoping to see, like, Daniel Craig?
Daniel Craig, Rian Johnson, Catherine Hahn, basically anyone, everyone, hopefully they all show up.
How long have you been coming to TIFF?
I've been doing this since 2015.
2015, wow, that's longer than me. I started in 2018 covering TIFF.
Wow, impressive. But then pandemic happened, and then everybody had to be away for 2 years, so good to be back.
For yourself, what does TIFF mean to you?
Just a chance to enjoy the atmosphere, trying to catch a movie, emerging filmmakers for myself personally, because I'm trying to pay attention to what's coming up in the local atmosphere, not just as much as I would love to join, also the Hollywood stuff, but I'm all about the local stuff as well. So,
well said, well said. Thank you for your time.
No worries. Enjoy TIFF.
Hi, what's your name?
My name's Kathy.
Hello, Kathy. What are you here on King Street for? Why are you here?
I am here standing in line with my daughter. I have a ticket for Causeway, the premiere, which I'm very excited to see. My daughter was not able to get a ticket, so I'm standing in the rush line for her where she's hoping to get a ticket.
Okay, so TIFF 2022, we're back, we're in person after 2 years of a pandemic. How are you feeling about that?
I am really excited. This is my first film festival. My daughter is in the film industry. She has a company that does events and premieres, and she invited me. So I love movies. I am so excited. I've already seen a number of phenomenal movies, and I have a number of phenomenal movies lined up to see in the next couple days. So before I go back to my real life, I'm just thrilled to be here.
Any movies that you've seen so far stand out to you that have made an impression on you? Anything comes to mind?
Yes, we saw Emily, phenomenal. I know a little bit about Emily Bronte's story, but learned a lot more. Very interesting. Saw The Woman King, and just powerhouse action dynamic. Saw Bros, and Bros is a phenomenal movie. You will laugh, you will cry, and I'll recommend everything I've seen so far.
Last question for you. What does TIFF mean to you?
TIFF means an opportunity for people to come together, celebrate films, and for people in the film industry to showcase their talent, a place for new emerging filmmakers to come and make a name for themselves, people that wouldn't be known to get picked up by other studios. It's just a phenomenal opportunity for anyone who loves film, works in film, or is interested in film.
Amazing. Well said. Well done. Thanks for your time.
Yes, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. How are you? Good evening and welcome. It's the opening night.
Tonight, we thank you. I am so humbled and so grateful to be here this evening.
I'm extremely excited to be here.
Thank you all for holy shit. There's a lot of y'all.
I'm very proud to be here tonight, and I'm so grateful that you joined us.
Don't stop till you get enough.
Hello, Toronto!
Happy Halloween, Michael.
Can we touch that, sis? Toronto, the best of them all.
If you ever think about the best place to watch films is different.
I want to thank Toronto because you have always honored, celebrated, exalted female directors.
The warmth and the love that you gave me is something I will never forget in my life.
So exciting to be here at Toronto in this gorgeous theater.
This feels like Christmas Day.
Thanks to you for coming.
This is truly a very special evening for me.
This is why we do what we do, you know.
I love this festival and it's an honor to be back.
Behind me is what we call society, what we see in there every day, and what we have on screen. Let's keep on doing movies about us. We're making pictures about what's happening today in society. Thank you for coming.
By the way, Festival Street 2023 will feature some live jazz, as well as a concert from Canada's very own Nickelback. For all your festival needs, simply visit TIFF.net.
Bill 7, to ban discrimination in employment, government services, and housing, based on a person's sexual orientation, was up for a vote at Queen's Park. Most NDP and Liberal MPPs supported the bill, but without some progressive Conservative legislators backing, a divisive split could rack the province. 4 PCs decided to break party ranks to vote with their conscience and support Bill 7. Cabinet Minister and MPP Dennis Timbrell did it to show solidarity for his beloved brother, the well-known drag queen Rusty Ryan. And for me, a gay politician who was not yet out, I had to take a stand. We were known as the Gang of Four. I'm former Cabinet Minister and MPP Phil Gillies. The date, December 2nd, 1986, when LGBT rights came to Ontario.
And just like that, this little gay journey through Rainbow Country has come to an end. For the full 2-hour episode, simply head over to marktara.com, where everything is connected, and hit the archives banner. To keep up to date with the show, check out the socials at Mark Tara. The podcast is available on all major platforms. And finally, I want to take this time to thank you for taking your time to be with me. Remember, despite all the craziness in the world these days, know this, that we are living in days of making dreams come true, so believe in yourself, and the world will believe in you.
Hi, I'm Keegan Hurst, former professional rugby player, coach, raving homosexual, and you're listening to Rainbow Country with Mark Tara.